Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayādvaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayādvaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Hare Hare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Paripradakacharya Ashto Tarasatafi Srimad A.C. Bhakti.
Your mic is on, Maharaj. I'm sorry to interrupt. Your mic is on, but we're not hearing any audio. So,
Oh, better now?
yes, now we hear.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Paripradakacharya Ashto Tarasatafi Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kunikiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Gangamai Ki Jai Ramanamai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Go Premanande. Welcome all to our reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita in Vrindavan. It's November 4th, 2022, one day earlier in New York. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 4, text 36 and 37. Evancha yoiche Krishna prakatya karon asura sanghar anushanga prayojan emata Chaitanya Krishna purna bhagavan yuga dharma pravartan nahetar kam. Just as these desires are the fundamental reason for Krishna's appearance, whereas destroying the demons is only an incidental necessity. So for Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, promulgating the dharma of the age is incidental. Om Jnana Timirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadam Mahyam Tathati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Padakamamam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Vaganatam Vikranstam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Pradivana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lulita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Bhakta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krishna Bhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priya Vansha Kolpatarujascha Kripa Sindho Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare. The discussion preceding this concerns the reasons for Krishna's appearance. Krishna appeared mainly in order to display the pastimes of Vrindavan and attract the conditioned souls through his transcendental pastimes, his exchanges of devotional love with his devotees, and incidentally to kill the demons. Similarly, when Lord Chaitanya appears, distributing the Dharma is, Kaviraj says, an incidental reason for his appearance. In the previous chapter, it's been called the external reason for Lord Chaitanya's appearance. But there's an internal reason, and that's to yes, Hare Krishna, welcome. That's to spread, to taste these mellows of Krishna consciousness. Kon karone yobe hoilo avatare mon yuga dharma kalo hoilo she kale milon. When the Lord desired to appear for another reason, the time for promulgating the religion of the age also arose. Tulsi Priya, you have a hand up.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you. Hare Krishna. My question regards what you said earlier about the Lord appearing to display his pastimes and redeem the fallen souls, and that the killing of the demons is incidental. And I was just wondering, since these pastimes of killing the demons are inextricably intertwined with his pastimes with his devotees. And also we know from, let's say, Jai and Vijay, that these pastimes were enacted specifically because the Lord desires to fight. So, and since there's no fighting with the Lord in the spiritual world, there's fighting in the material world. So I'm wondering how secondary can it be if it's by his desire that there are even demons that he wants to fight with, and that these pastimes are, tied up with his pastimes with his devotees in Vrindavan and Dwarka.
The two are maybe tied up. Incidental doesn't mean accidental. It doesn't mean that it has nothing, the two have nothing to do with one another. But they're intertwined, but one is primary and the other is secondary.
Okay.
You're going to go to the bank and you're going to buy, some ointment or something. So the going to the bank is primary, and going and buying the ointment is secondary, but the two are intertwined. If you don't go on the journey, you're not going to do either one. So the two combine. It's not that they're mutually exclusive or that they're unrelated. The trip is to accomplish both purposes, but one is more important.
Even though he specifically wanted, the whole purpose of Jai and Vijay coming to the earth and taking birth as demons was to satisfy a particular desire of the Lord, that's still incidental.
Yeah, he wanted to do it. It's not that Krishna had no interest.
Mm-hmm.
Just that there were other reasons that are more important. Just as Prabhupada said, Parachanaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chaduskritam. So the Parachanaya, the Vinashaya Chaduskritam is less important. And the Parachanaya Sadhunam is more important. That's not to say that Krishna doesn't enjoy destroying the demons, or that it's not important, but that the dealings with the devotees are primary.
Thank you.
Dvihetu avatari lan bhaktagon apone aspade prema nam sankirtan. Thus, with two intentions, the Lord appeared with his devotees and tasted the nectar of prema with the congregational chanting of the holy name. So there it is again. There are two intentions. One is external, the other is internal. One is primary, one is secondary, but they're both intertwined. They're both desires that the Lord wanted to fulfill. Is your hand up again, Tulsi Priya, or still? Okay.
Sorry.
Shedware achandale kirtan sanchare nam prema malaganti paraila shanshare. Thus, he spread kirtan even among the untouchables. He wove a wreath of the holy name and prema with which he garlanded the entire material world. It appears that both things are there, prema and sankirtan, and that the two are intimately connected. Emata bhakta bhava kori angikar apani achari bhakti korila prachar. In this way, assuming the sentiment of a devotee, he preached devotional service while practicing it himself. Purport: when Rupa Goswami met Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Prayag, Allahabad, he offered his respectful obeisances, admitting that Lord Chaitanya was more magnanimous than any other avatar of Krishna because he was distributing love of Krishna. His mission was to enhance love of Godhead. In the human form of life, the highest achievement is to attain the platform of love of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya did not invent a system of religion, as people sometimes assume. Religious systems are meant to show the existence of God, who is then generally approached as the cosmic order supplier. But Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental mission is to distribute love of Godhead to everyone. Anyone who accepts God as the Supreme can take to the process of chanting Hare Krishna and become a lover of God. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is the most magnanimous. This munificent broadcasting of devotional service is possible only for Krishna himself. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has taught the philosophy of surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who has surrendered to the Supreme can make further progress by learning to love him. Therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement, propagated by Lord Chaitanya, is especially meant for those who are cognizant of the presence of the Supreme Godhead, the ultimate controller of everything. His mission is to teach people how to dovetail themselves into engagements of transcendental loving service. He is Krishna, teaching his own service from the position of a devotee. The Lord's acceptance of the role of a devotee in the eternal form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is another of the Lord's wonderful features. A conditioned soul cannot reach the absolute personality of Godhead by his imperfect endeavor. And therefore, it is wonderful that Lord Sri Krishna, in the form of Lord Gauranga, has made it easy for everyone to approach him. So, first we find that religion problems, it generally has to do with establishing that there's God. And then once there's God, then we approach him, God, I need this, God, I need that. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu especially comes to teach love of God. The And how does he teach it? He teaches it by assuming the position of a devotee. That was there in the verse. Apaniyachari bhakti korilo prachar. He preached this religion of love of Krishna by showing how to love Krishna. In the introduction to Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada explains that the teacher tells the students, now write A, now write B, now write C. But if they're not getting it, then the teacher picks up the chalk, A, B, C. So the teacher's not a student learning to write, but the teacher shows by his own example, this is how you do it. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, showing how to love Krishna. Yes, Tulsi Priya.
Thank you, Maharaj. I was just wondering, the phrase cosmic order supplier, Prabhupada uses, and it's very apt. And I was thinking that I think when somebody, this is a bit of a psychological question, I think, when somebody is a lover, no matter what their position, if they're poor or rich, they just want to give to their beloved. They operate out of generosity, and even if they have nothing, they'll go and pick a flower in the field somewhere and give it to the beloved. But so many of us, we have this feeling of lack or insufficiency, and so we're praying to God, please fulfill my insufficient, please make up for my insufficiency, please give me what I perceive I need. And I was just wondering, is it really possible to have love of Godhead if you have these psychological issues where you feel a lack? And like I said, you can be completely wealthy and feel a lack in your life. I don't have enough love, I don't have enough attention, I don't have this, I don't have that. So I'm just wondering, is it really possible to love Krishna if your mind is in the mode of, I'm missing something, I'm not getting, or can you love Krishna and still have this mood of, please help me, I'm insufficient, and I need this and that and the other thing, just to be peaceful in mind?
We hear that there's mixed bhakti and pure bhakti. Mm-hmm. So in mixed bhakti, there may be some, what would we say, signs of love, but there's also signs of selfishness. In non-bhakti, there's only selfishness. In King Lear, in the opening act, the king asks his daughters, which of you loves me the most? And his two hypocritical daughters try to outdo one another, speaking about how much they love their father. And their purpose is that the king has announced that now I'm going to divide my kingdom. I'm going to declare my inheritance. And so the two girls are busy just flowing with expressions of love for their father. But really, it's clear that they're after the property. So often, this is the cosmic order supplier mentality, that we may profess some love for God, but as Prabhupada sometimes said, it's love of bread. So we need to go on from there. And it's not just like an on and off switch, but there's, as Prabhupada said, a gradual cleansing process where there's a method to advance from selfishness to surrender. And Prabhupada makes that point that when there's surrender, then we can speak of love moving from there. If I'm not willing to surrender, then how will the love develop? And again, Prabhupada says there's a surrendering process. Is that okay? Okay.
Thank you so much.
Swarup Damodar Goswami has described Lord Chaitanya as Krishna himself with the attitude of Radharani, or a combination of Radha and Krishna. The intention of Lord Chaitanya is to taste Krishna's sweetness in transcendental love. He does not care to think of himself as Krishna because he wants the position of Radharani. We should remember this. A class of so-called devotees called the Nadiya Nagaris or Gauda Nagaris pretend that they have the sentiment of gopis toward Lord Chaitanya. But they do not realize that he placed himself not as the enjoyer, Krishna, but as the enjoyed, the devotee of Krishna. The concoctions of unauthorized persons pretending to be bona fide have not been accepted by Lord Chaitanya. Presentations such as those of the Gauda Nagaris are only disturbances to the sincere execution of the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is undoubtedly Krishna himself, and he's always non-different from Srimati Radharani. But the emotion technically called Vipralambha Bhav, which the Lord adopted for confidential reasons, should not be disturbed in the name of service. A mundaner should not unnecessarily intrude into affairs of transcendence and thereby displease the Lord. One must always be on guard against this sort of devotional anomaly. Devotee is not meant to create disturbances to Krishna. As Srila Rupa Goswami has explained, devotional service is anukulyena, or favorable to Krishna. Acting unfavorably toward Krishna is not devotion. Kamsa was the enemy of Krishna. He always thought of Krishna, but he thought of him as an enemy. One should always avoid such unfavorable so-called service. Lord Chaitanya has accepted the role of Radharani, and we should support that position, as Swarup Damodar did in the Gambhira, the room where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in Puri. He always reminded Lord Chaitanya of Radha's feelings of separation, as they are described in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Lord Chaitanya appreciated his assistance. But the Gauda Nagaris, who place Lord Chaitanya in the position of enjoyer and themselves as his enjoyed, are not approved by Lord Chaitanya or by Lord Chaitanya's followers. Instead of being blessed, the foolish imitators are left completely apart. Their concoctions are against the principles of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The doctrine of transcendental enjoyment by Krishna cannot be mixed up with the doctrine of transcendental feeling of separation from Krishna in the role of Radha. Well, this is one of the Sahajya groups, the Gauda Nagaris, or what else were they called? Nadiya Nagaris. They want to be gopis in relationship to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is all nonsense because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not in that mood of the predominating enjoyer. Gopinath, Krishna is Gopinath, the Lord of the Gopis, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't take that role. He takes the role of the Gopi himself, principal Gopi, Srimati Radharani. So the this concoction of the Gora Nagaris is rejected. Yeah, we have 3 questions here. Saraswati's had her hand for a little bit.
Pranam Parampuja Maharaj. Maharaj, the general consensus is the human form presents itself the best opportunity to perfect our bhakti. But we know that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his mercy to the beasts and all lower forms, plants, creepers. So I'm trying to see if is that because those forms other than the human beings also had some sukriti, because we know that there's 8,400,000 species of life, and they wrote, the promotion and demotion is going on. It's inconceivable to our tiny brains how material nature is really organizing all of this. But sometimes it seems like there can be shortcuts for these lower forms of life to automatically still become liberated because they've received the mercy of Vaishnavas, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But I'm wondering, is that also because of some sukriti or something that they had done in their past lives, and therefore they've received that mercy?
It doesn't require sukriti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was described as causelessly merciful, and he didn't discriminate who was higher, who was lower. Higher means sukriti, lower means lack of sukriti. He's just distributing. Prabhupada gave the example. Bhavananda Prabhu asked what is meant by causeless mercy. This was on a walk in Mayapur. And Prabhupada made a gesture as if he had a big bag of money. He was like pushing it on it, on him. Here, take this. He said, that's causeless mercy. So there may be some sukriti, but even if there's not, this is the position of the devotee, or the position of Lord Chaitanya. Krishna Prema Pradayate, vigorously distributing, without consideration. It's like our book distributors. They may sometimes see that someone looks favorable, but then they sometimes approach people who are just down and outers or unlikely prospects out of mercy, not because that person seems deserving, but just let's give it a try. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's merciful to a dog. He's merciful to the animals in Jharikanda. He's merciful to whoever he wants to be merciful to. That's his nature. Panchatattva Prabhu.
Guru Maharaj, I was thinking about the Gaur Nagaris, Nadia Nagaris. They're engaged in this kind of sentiment, and they're feeling something. Otherwise, why would they continue? What is the source of that feeling?
What is the source of that feeling? The Gaura Nagaris or Nadia Nagaris must be feeling something. What is the source of that feeling? Maya. Everybody's feeling something. Love makes the world go round. Everybody's feeling something. But what is that love? Or they may have something, somehow they're approaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can generously say something is there, but it's all messed up. Messed up by Maya, by the intrusion of mundane concocted ideas, to the point where it's even considered a disturbance. Udpataya evakopati. So we feel something. And what do we feel? We feel I'm very important. I'm getting love for Krishna. I'm a gopi. I'm this. I'm that. Manoratena satita. By mental concoction, we feel something. There's a story. I haven't told it in a long time. It's not a Shastric story. It's a short story fiction about a woman who goes to see a ventriloquist show. And she's a lonely woman, and she sees the show with this tall, handsome man, and then this little dummy on his lap. And there's jokes and there's this and there's that. And at the end, she actually gets to meet the man. She's thinking of, she's just like overwhelmed with attraction for him, and she's dreaming about him. At the end, she gets to have a carefully arranged meeting with him, and she's had this overwhelming desire to touch him, and she touches him, and he falls over, and his glass eye rolls out of his socket, and it becomes clear that the tall man is the dummy. So this is the situation of the materialist. He's mistaking one thing for another, and so he's filled with some sort of feeling. Without feeling, we can't go on. But the feeling is illusory. So this is the position of the Gaura Nagaris. They're mistaking the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're thinking that they're approaching Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not in the mood of Krishna. He's in the mood of the devotee of Krishna. Okay.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Is that also indicative of the contamination of lust on the part of the Gaura Nagaris?
Yeah, that's also there. Somehow or other, the conditioned souls want to gratify their senses. And I'm not, these are sort of, anyway, I haven't done a deep study of the Gaura Nagaris, but I would assume that if you start doing your sociology, you'll see that there's illicit sex there also. There's sort of general assumption. Okay. Tulsi Priya.
Thank you, Maharaj. What you were, it reminds me of something, a class that I heard from Gopi Puranadana Prabhu. And honestly, I can't even remember if I heard this class in person or if I heard it recorded, but he was talking about this mentality of, wanting to be a gopi or having this mood of, premature or unauthorized, sahaja feelings. And he said very vehemently, I wish I could find the class again because I can't remember the exact wording, but he says very vehemently something like, not even in your mind or not even in your dreams should you go there. And I was thinking, I wondered to myself, is this sahaja mentality, is it offensive because generally there are illicit activities involved and it's sort of a disturbance to the social order or to the Vaishnav community? Or is it also an offense even on the mental level? In other words, can you be disturbing Krishna by this attitude?
That's Prabhupada's point.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk about wrongdoings on the part of the Gauranga Nagaris. I'm what's pejoratively assuming that these things are going on. We can beg forgiveness if I'm wrong. But Prabhupada's point is that their whole approach is a disturbance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's trying to enjoy, to relish in the mood of Srimati Radharani, and they're approaching him, as conjugal associates who want to please him in the mood of Krishna. That's totally opposite. It's totally opposite. You could, just as a crude example, someone's deeply absorbed in listening to classical music or something and really getting into whatever it is, and you come up, would you like some ice cream? It's like, what? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's crude because it doesn't really do justice to the oppositeness of the approach. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to enjoy one way, and they're trying to enjoy or help him enjoy the opposite way. He's trying to enjoy serving Krishna, and they're trying to get him to enjoy being Krishna. So it's backwards, and it's get out of here. You're trying to. This is such a clumsy and opposite, inappropriate approach. I don't want to be Krishna. I didn't come here to be Krishna. I came here to be in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And Swarup Damodar Maharaj is appreciated because he's doing exactly that. He's helping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu relish the feelings of Srimati Radharani. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was experiencing some ecstasy in that mood. And Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar are augmenting, enhancing that mood by reciting different slokas and so on. But the Gauranga Nagaris, they go the opposite way. So they're not appreciated at all. They're a disturbance. That's the point that Prabhupada makes. And then in the chat box, you're eager to spread Krishna consciousness, but I've seen at Sankirtan that if a beautiful girl is distributing books, her table is very busy with people wanting to take her name and know when she can be at the temple to meet her. This made me uncomfortable because it happens with my own daughter. So even if books are flying at the table, is it acceptable that it's due to their unhealthy attraction? Yes. Probably half our movement is populated with people who came because a nice, they're young boys and a nice girl said, "Oh, please come." So yes, it's acceptable. They may have their, just like Prabhupada tells the story of the man who was attracted to this beautiful girl and wanted to have her association, and he's after her and pestering her. And finally she agrees, yes, you can come on such day. And for all of those days till then, she took laxatives and purgatives and passed loose stool and vomited everything she ate. So at the end, when they finally met, he met this haggard, miserable-looking woman and said, "I've come to meet such and such lovely girl." Yes, I'm that girl. But I've kept my beauty in pots for you. So the pots were all the loose stool and vomit, and he became enlightened. He got it. He got the point. So his original attraction was out of lust, but she turned it around to give him spiritual enlightenment. So people may be attracted to a book distributor because she's a beautiful young girl, or because they're a young girl and they're attracted to the handsome book distributor, or whatever reason may be there. But they get the advantage that they get a book. They give some money, they get a book, and that acts to change their life. That acts to change their life. So even though superficially, the superficial motive may be contaminated, but the motive of the book distributor is pure. And so the person benefits, and the process is purifying. And the process is purifying. It doesn't become a torrid love affair. Instead, it becomes an opportunity for the conditioned soul to become, to wake up and see that what he's really looking for is not what he thinks he wants, but it's Krishna. Dasya Shakya Vatsalya Arjay Shringar Chari Prema Chaturbidha Bhakta E Atar. 4 kinds of devotees are the receptacles of the 4 kinds of mellows in love of God, namely servitude, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love. Nijo nija bhava shabe shreshta kori mane nija bhave kore Krishna shuka ashbodane. Each kind of devotee feels that his sentiment is the most excellent, and thus, in that mood, he tastes great happiness with Lord Krishna. Every devotee feels satisfied in Vaikuntha. The devotees are satisfied with serving in awe and reverence. In Vrindavan, the devotees are satisfied and happy in whatever mood they have, servitude or friendship or parental love or conjugal love. They don't want to change. The cowherd boys are not frustrated. Man, if only I could be a gopi. Everyone's happy. Tutashta Haya Mane Bichar Jari Kori Shab Rasha Kaite Shringare Odhiko Madhuri. But if we compare the sentiments in an impartial mood, we find that the conjugal sentiment is superior to all others in sweetness. Purport. No one is higher or lower than anyone else in transcendental relationships with the Lord. For in the absolute realm, everything is equal. But although these relationships are absolute, there are also transcendental differences between them. The transcendental relationship of conjugal love is considered the highest perfection. Vitotaram so svada vishesholla samayapi ratir vasanaya svadvi hashate kapi kashachit. Increasing love is experienced in various tastes, one above another. But that love which has the highest taste in the gradual succession of desire manifests itself in the form of conjugal love. Purport, this is a verse from Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.538. Ateva madhura rash kahitar nam swakiya parikiya have dvivita sangstam. Therefore I call it madhura ras. It has 2 further divisions, namely wedded and unwedded love. Parikiya bhave oti rasher ulas Braja bina ihar anyatra nahibar. There's a great increase of mellow in the unwedded conjugal mood. Such love is found nowhere but in Braj. Braja badhu koner e pava niravati tar modye haver abadhi. This mood is unbounded in the damsels of Braja, but among them it finds its perfection in Sri Radha. Prauta nirmal bhava prema sarvotam Krishna Madhurja Rash Ashvada Kolam. Her pure, mature love surpasses that of all others. Her love is the cause of Lord Krishna's tasting the sweetness of the conjugal relationship. Ateva She Bhava Angikar Kori Sadhilen Nijavansha Gauranga Sri Hari. Therefore, Lord Gauranga, who is Sri Hari himself, accepted the sentiments of Radha and thus fulfilled his own desires. Purport. Of the four kinds of reciprocation of loving service, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurja, Madhurja is considered the fullest. But the conjugal relationship is further divided into two varieties, namely Swakiya and Padakiya. Swakiya is the relationship with Krishna as a formerly married husband, and Padakiya is the relationship with Krishna as a paramour. Expert analysts have decided that the transcendental ecstasy of the Padakiya mellow is better because it is more enthusiastic. This phase of conjugal love is found in those who have surrendered to the Lord in intense love, knowing well that such illicit love with the paramour is not morally approved in society. The risks involved in such love of Godhead make this emotion superior to the relationship in which such risk is not involved. The validity of such risk, however, is possible only in the transcendental realm. Swakiya and Padakiya conjugal love of Godhead have no existence in the material world, and Padakiya is not exhibited anywhere in Vaikuntha, but only in the portion of Goloka Vrindavan known as Braja. Some devotees think that Krishna is eternally the enjoyer in Goloka Vrindavan, but only sometimes comes to the platform of Braj to enjoy Padakiya Ras. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, however, have explained that Krishna's pastimes in Braj are eternal, like his other activities in Goloka Vrindavan. Braja is a confidential part of Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna exhibited his Braja pastimes on the surface of this world, and similar pastimes are eternally exhibited in Braja, in Goloka Vrindavan, where Padakiya Ras is ever existent. In the 3rd chapter of this epic, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has explicitly accepted the fact that Krishna appears in this material world at the end of the Dwapara age of the 28th Chatur Yuga of Vaivashvata Manu, and brings with him his Brajadham, which is the eternal abode of his highest pastimes. As the Lord appears by his own internal potency, so he also brings all his paraphernalia by the same internal potency without extraneous help. It is further stated here in the Chaitanya Caritamrita that the Parakiya sentiment exists only in that transcendental realm and nowhere else. This highest form of ecstasy can exist only in the most confidential part of the transcendental world. But by the causeless mercy of the Lord, we can have a peep into that invisible Braja. The transcendental mellow relished by the gopis in Braja is super excellently featured in Srimati Radharani. Mature assimilation of the transcendental humor of conjugal love is represented by Srimati Radharani, whose feelings are incomprehensible even to the Lord himself. The intensity of her loving service is the highest form of ecstasy. No one can surpass Srimati Radharani in relishing the qualities of the Lord through this supreme transcendental mellow. Therefore, the Lord himself agreed to assume the position of Radharani in the form of Lord Sri Gauranga. He then relished the highest position of Padakiya Ras, as exhibited in the transcendental abode of Braja. And there's a lot there in that purport, quite deep material, but we are at the end of our time. So we'll stop here. And yes. Parakia, there's a question, not sure whose it is, maybe it's, but in Swakiya and Parakia, conjugal love of Godhead have no existence in the material world. I don't understand. Could you please explain? Yeah, this material world, you have married sex and illicit sex, but you don't have love of Godhead. It has nothing to do with, you can't call it Parakia, Swakiya, love of Godhead. It's just lust. It's just lust. It's like iron, you can find it anywhere, but gold, that's a different thing. So the Padakiya and Swakiya, love of Godhead, they're not found on the material platform. They're found on the transcendental platform. And Padakiya is not even found in Vaikuntha, only in Braj. That's a short summary. If Radharani's love is the highest, then why would Krishna still be attracted to other gopis? Highest, because it's absolute. Prabhupada said that from one point of view, there's no higher, lower. So Krishna's, he appreciates he embraces the gopis and he cuddles the deer. He doesn't think you're just a stupid deer. I've got gopis. What do I need? He reciprocates with them, and he appreciates the love of all the devotees. That someone is the highest doesn't mean that the others are rejected. You may have a plate of prasadam with different preparations, and one is your favorite preparation, but it doesn't mean that you neglect the other preparations. They're also tasty, they're also very nice, but you get a special pleasure from your favorite preparation. Yes.
This
we're really supposed to stop, but
yeah, this sorting of higher and lower here in this world, everything is like graded, sought after as higher, rejected if it's lower, is part of the reason that this lack of thinking, I'd be better off if I was doing that, the spiritual world, due to a complete lack of envy on the part of the inhabitants.
there are two things. You were talking about the material world where everything's relative.
Right.
We reject this in favor of that. And in the spiritual world,
There are, at least as it is.
there's gradations.
There's gradations,
But there's not envy, and there's not dissatisfaction. Everyone has an absolute relationship with Krishna. Why should I be envious? Why should I be that near Matsaranam Satam, that's the quality of the devotee. They're not envious. So the devotees aren't thinking, why does Radharani have to be? Why the gopis? What about us? No, everyone's happy, and everyone's fully satisfied, serving Krishna in their particular taste. They don't want to change. Cowherd boys have no interest in becoming gopis. They're interested in being Krishna's friends. Yashoda Mai wouldn't want to be anything other than who she is. And Krishna reciprocates. He doesn't think, what do I need my mother for? I have gopis. There's such sweet, loving dealings between Krishna and Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Mai. And yet, the expert analysts, as Prabhupada calls them, have seen that there's a special taste in the conjugal relationship, and within that, the special taste in the Padakya rice. Okay. Let us stop here. And you want to lead Kirtan?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
I Om Vishnu Bhad Paraman Suparipad So AC Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavin Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navdeep Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Gangamai Ki Jai Jamunamai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Thank you very much to Haridas Prabhu, to Meena Dasi, and to all the devotees. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Premanande.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.